printing, well, we started collaborating in, I'm going to start this over. We met, go ahead.
You're fired.
I'm the speaker.
Kyle and I actually were sixth grade wrestling partners back when we both weighed about 72 pounds. I always won. We were good friends from sixth grade, and honestly, Kyle is actually a musician, and he traveled the nation for 10 years doing music shows and everything. So while I was at the University of Oklahoma going to design school, Kyle was going to the School of Rock around the nation, and he always needed T-shirts. So I would, back then they were fun but really poorly put together design pieces. But we started doing T-shirts that way, and then maybe 10 years ago we did a brief little stint with a thing called Heartillery, and there was a T-shirt line that we did for him to sell when he was actually out at shows from the merch booth, and it was all these like incredibly violent situations, but it was all these like instead of a person's head getting cut off, it was like hearts bubbling out, and it was really fun.
It was cool.
It was very cool.
Very cool.
And then his trailer full of the T-shirts got stolen, and so Heartillery quickly tanked. And then
it was stolen. I think the trailer was stolen 2 weeks after we got our first order,
Yeah.
and so that was awesome.
So we didn't make any money on that. But about 5 years ago, whenever the Thunder went to the finals, we did a couple of shirts, and we started off with $103 each, and we invested that in 20 or 30 shirts, and we sold those out really quickly, and kind of kept putting the money back in, and we didn't pay ourselves for I think the first year, but we were able to really build up the business, and we purchased our own screen printing press, which we ran out of my garage at home. My wife hated it, so about a year and a half after we started in the garage, we got a little space over in the Paramount, which I'll let you talk about, because I'm not talking.
Well, I was just going to say real quickly, I wanted to back up and say, she was talking about building relationships and kind of how important that was for us. When we first started, it was honestly, hey, dude, how can we work together every day? The goal wasn't, hey, how can we make a ton of money? It was, what could we do that could be fun, that we would enjoy, and that we would get to be creative with one another. And I don't know if you guys have creative friends like that, but it has been awesome for us. I mean, I genuinely believe it is the key to, I would say, our longevity. We've only been around for almost 6 years, but the goal was to work together. And so every day when we go into work, it's like, that's the goal. Everything else is kind of extra and a bonus. So friends are good. But anyway, yeah, he had mentioned we were in the Paramount building. One cool...
Does everybody know where that is?
Stephen Adams building? No? Some of you? One cool thing about the Paramount, probably the coolest thing about the Paramount, is our basement was haunted, and that is where we exposed screens by ourselves in the dark. And so...
Like truly, it was, I don't really believe in ghosts, but we had ghost experiences, and we're in the Haunted OKC book from it, so the ghost really liked Kyle.
Yeah, I would say that ghosts don't need Blake to believe in them. One day he heard her, and then I was downstairs, and I heard the exact same thing, and then she would say my name, and that was, and I would kind of walk, run away, and it would be in the direction that I went. So it was I was always walking into it. So really spooky. If you like ghost stories, talk to us after this, or if you have some questions about that later.
We always called her the pretty lady because we didn't want to make her mad.
Yep, called her pretty lady, didn't want to offend her, but it was always like, Kyle. And I was like, or it was, hey, hello there. And
very friendly.
Yeah, very friendly lady. Anyway, yeah, so we were in the Paramount. Yeah, sorry. We were in the Paramount. We started making shirts over there. We got a bigger press, and we wanted to do a little more retail business, and so we started looking around where we thought there might be a little more foot traffic or places that were better for maybe people walking or biking, and we found ourselves kind of going back to the Farmers Market District. And so that's where we are now. We really like it. We got some cool neighbors over there. the Loaded Bowl, Powerhouse, Rewind Pub. But yeah, we really dig it, and we have a lot more walk-in over there. And I think we're just going to kind of walk you through the process, our creative process.
Real quickly.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We actually share that space. The building itself is called Silo. The OKC operates out of the front, 1,500 square feet or so. We also have a photographer in the space, and we have a luthier. Does anybody here know what a luthier is? There you
What
go.
is it?
Somebody who makes loops.
She's right.
The person that we have, I think a luthier is a broad term that applies to a lot of things, but he makes violins, which is really cool because his name is Arsenios Corbishli, and he sits in the back and he makes these beautiful violins. I guess there's only 3 people in Oklahoma City who do that. And we also have a web developer, and we have about 250 square feet of unused space right now. So if you are looking for an office space with a bunch of weirdos, hit us up afterwards.
Not haunted.
Not haunted.
Now, you want to?
Okay, yeah. So I'll use Vanna White over here to explain what we're doing. So who here is screen print? I see some of you guys, and I know you guys certainly do. Who has experienced the joys of screen printing? Have you guys ever worked with Plastisol and textiles, or did you guys do more like suicide prints, reduction printing, college level stuff, like paper prints, or what? Like, what's the? Okay, so some of this is going to be rudimentary, so we do apologize. But what we tend to do, I don't know why I'm standing up now. What we tend to do is, for our own personal stuff, it's one thing, and when it's for a client, it's a little bit different. As you guys all have clients, you know the back and forth and figuring out what the problem is so that you can solve it and you go from there. For our own selves, most of our creative process is very much a shorthand between Kyle and myself. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 22 years in the sense that we've been collaborating creatively on just random weird things, and usually what it starts off with is me, sitting at the computer, being antisocial, and Kyle will be over there printing and like just peppering me with just these random ideas. And the ideas that sell well are the ones that usually get me to stop being antisocial and make me start laughing. And of course, from there, we do the same thing that I'm sure most of you guys do. We start off with a very basic thumbnail sketch just to kind of kick the idea around, and usually we have about 10 or 15 ideas just kind of on deck, ready for the next shirt that we're going to do for our own personal work. But and a lot of that comes down to just availability for design time, availability for print, making sure we have enough money to purchase a whole nother round of shirts or everything. But that's not very common. We also have weird jokes, so I don't want to pass that around.
Okay, all right.
No way.
Private.
There's weird stuff in there. So basically what we do is once we have the thumbnails nailed down, I get on the computer, I'll design it up. Kyle does have some experience in some design programs, but he's actually a Corel Draw guy.
I heard a yes. Yeah, dude.
So Kyle has a lot of experience running a laser etcher at his last job, and that was the program of choice there. So I've been trying to get him to transition to Illustrator for print purposes, but it's going well.
I just felt the judgment from everybody in here.
All that to
Corel is intuitive, man.
we won't get into this. We won't get into this. Anyway, so at that point we get on and we'll actually do a design. I'll do several iterations of a design, kick it back and forth with him to really nail down what we want to do. And then once it's done, once we have a finalized design, what we'll do is we will print off transparencies.
Well, you can show them real quickly. There was
thumbnail.
a Star Wars Fest
Yes.
a couple weeks back at the farmer's market. So I know this is really small. You can come up and look at this later, but this says I shot first, and it's got a blaster in the middle. And I mean, that's kind of how everything starts. He'll usually do like a couple variations and be like, what do you think's cooler? Would it be cooler if we did this? And so this turns into very fancy. That.
So when you're exposing something onto a screen to screen print, you're essentially making a stencil of sorts. Your screen. Come on, Vanna, keep up. Your screen. This is a screen that's not been coated with emulsion. It's truly they used to be made out of silk, but it's now like a polymer that they use. It's a fine mesh. I think this is a. You want to pass that one around?
Yeah.
Um,
You want to touch that?
So it's that in and of itself. If we put ink on it, the ink would just go right through it. There's nothing keeping the ink from just pouring through. It's like a screen. It's like very much what it is. When we coat it with an emulsion, it's a photoreactive glue that when you expose it to UV light, the glue itself will harden. So what we do is we put that transparency between the light and the screen, and you turn it on and expose it. And so anything that's underneath the black part of the screen itself will then be something that you can wash out with a hose. So this is the actual screen that we use to print the T-shirts. And this is just a simple one-color T-shirt. Oftentimes, the goal with screen printing design is to design something that works as simply as possible, while still having some interest to it. Obviously, just a word on a T-shirt will sell sometimes, but we don't want to necessarily do that. But here's the final product. Our shtick isn't working on you guys. Must be a bunch of developers out there. Jeez. So this is the actual final piece, and as you can tell, we printed red ink onto the shirt itself. That is a one-color design, whereas what we do is you would do two screens. So you'd have a screen for white, you'd have a screen for red in this instance, that you then register together. And so once they're on the screen themselves, you put them on your press, which will then, the screen itself will lay down on top of the table, and you can press your ink through. Between each pressing, you have to do what's called a flash dryer, which will basically heat the ink up to a point where it'll dry, because plastisol ink is a liquid and it'll stay wet for years and years and years if you don't dry it, if you don't heat it. So that's the process that we took to get to this particular one. And then once you're done with the shirts, hold up. Oh, for pictures. Does anybody here listen to 90s hip hop? Can somebody sing this song? R&B. Can anybody sing this song for me? We thought it'd be funny to take a pretty dirty 90s song and make it into a John Wayne shirt. We call it John Wayne.
And our parents like it and don't get it.
My mom will come into the shop and help fold shirts and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, Blake, I love your new John Wayne T-shirt." And I was like, "Yeah, you don't want one, do you?" And she's like, "Well, I really like it." I was like, "You don't get the music reference, do you?" Like dreading her saying yes. And she was like, "Blake, I've seen all the John Wayne movies. I think I get the reference." And I was like, "Yep."
So that's pretty much our process
For the printing.
for the printing.
At that point, we do a lot of pop-up shops, and we do have the storefront to sell out of. One of the challenges for, I think, both of us is, Kyle's a musician, I'm a designer. We don't really have any real retail experience from before starting this. We really needed to learn a lot of that stuff, and it's been trial by fire. But my favorite part about what we do is guessing the supply and demand, and actually thinking, okay, this shirt's going to really do well. This shirt is going to be decent, but we're going to do a smaller run to make sure it fits, and we need to track out like 3 weeks from now. We need to make sure to have time on the press to do a re-up for the big event that's coming up. And so it's that's my favorite part outside of the actual design aspect of our job. So what's yours?
I like to print, but I think the creative process that we just shoot back and forth. I mean, there's times that it's just we immediately hash something out. We know when one of us says it, yeah, let's do that. And then there are other times where it takes a couple days. Like one of us will send the other one a text message. It's like, oh, that's pretty good. What about this? And to see that flesh out, to see something come from your mind and become something physical, is absolutely my favorite part. So
this is a good example. We had an idea to do a series of celebrities that were somehow associated with lightning bolts, and of course, David Bowie came to mind immediately. And so we were at Deluxe, which is a winter market around Christmas time 3 years ago. It was right before you started full time.
Yeah.
So So we were at this event. We were just kicking around all these ideas. We ended up doing a Harry Potter shirt that had the lightning bolt, and it was the boy who lived for basketball. And it was a real productive brainstorm session. But we decided to do at that point Russell Westbrook was super high fashion. That was the red glasses phase. So we decided that we would tie the style of Bowie into Russell Westbrook. And so we did this shirt, which has been historically, it's been one of our, it has been our best seller.
Best shirt.
And we've actually sold the shirt to over 40 countries now. So it's kind of we got picked up by a couple of blogs that published it, which really helped out quite a bit.
Hold it up real quick. So actually, this one never came out.
Second version.
This is the second version that we were going to celebrate him winning the MVP, and we got rocked with a cease and desist. we printed up like maybe 100 of them,
So
and
this
but
one's for free for Sunday.
yeah, we're going to give that one out. We cannot sell it and will not sell it. But
So, are you with an attorney's firm? Yeah.
what did she ask?
She said, "Who is the cease and desist firm?" Well, okay. So we in our new little store back in I think it was April. We were doing a big job for the Chickasaw Nation, and Russell Westbrook was shooting a little video just in that area. And I think, weren't you guys here for that? Were you working that video shoot for the baggage? No. Okay. So. Basically, he was in the block anyway, and he just came in because we had this big picture of his face on the front window, and so he came in with his handler or like his manager or whatever, and he was having a great time. Like he was walking around laughing at all the shirts and very friendly. Like I didn't know who it was at first. I was oblivious, and I said, "Hey, sorry about the smoke. We got our flash dryers putting on a lot of smoke today." And he said, "Smells like work," and I was like, "Yes." And then I was like, "Oh, that's Russell Westbrook." And so I'm like, I don't really get starstruck, but I was really excited. And Kyle was over there like Forrest Gump, just doing this.
When he sees Lieutenant Dan on the boat, I was at the press just like, hey.
And we were both a little nervous because he could have yelled at us for using a picture of his face.
Could have been mad.
Technically, I've got a lot of in-laws that are lawyers, and they said that what we're doing is a parody, and so therefore it's a little bit more of a gray area. But it's one of those things, like if Russell Westbrook's attorneys ask you to stop, I don't think we're going to win with the money that we're prepared to throw at it versus him.
And to clarify, it actually wasn't him that asked us to stop, so that's pretty cool too. He came in, he was friendly, and he bought 2 shirts, and it was like, it may have been Jordan, I can't remember, but like somebody that owns his likeness, the right to his likeness, is who contacted us. So,
and it was 2 days before he won the MVP.
Yep. But it does feel good that it wasn't him, like
he was a good guy.
even though he had every right to tell us to stop if he wanted to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He did
No,
not.
He did not.
He bought we have a Steven Adams shirt that says Kiwi's Big Adventure, and he's on the Pee-wee bike. And
that was actually right after they did that. What was it? The King of the Prairie. Yeah. They did a King of the Prairie video spot, and Steven Adams was actually wearing Dusty from Training Leaf's Notorious MVP, and so like it was very much Notorious Russ. I'm sorry, I failed. It was very much like the story is from the guy who was driving him that came back in a couple days later. He actually went and wore the shirt for warm-ups with Steven Adams, which is like what I wouldn't give to have a photo of that interaction.
He said he had a picture, and we were like, "Can you send it to us?" And he was like, "No."
He wasn't down to that, but it was still very cool, and and we've had a few interactions with people like that. It's really fun when random people come in that are way more famous than I could even pretend to imagine to be. And like Tom Felton, the Draco, he actually bought this shirt from DNA like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, which is even more random than Russell Westbrook.
Styles to the stars. That's kind of what we are.
Yeah.
It's a new venture.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I look like a complete dad today with my pink hat. My wife just went to the beach last week, and she brought me back a souvenir, so I feel like a real dork up here with my pink hat, but I look great, right?
That's pretty much it about the creative process. You guys have any questions?
Talk about making money.
Okay. So.
Russell Westbrook t-shirts.
Yeah. You know, probably some of the most successful things that we've done as far as making money, and this is an opinion, this isn't based in fact, so forgive me, but we do fundraiser t-shirts. So we have a lot of, like last year, there was a little boy named Stan that had a brain tumor, and we have something that it will be a separate company called Funderstorm, but we find these people that need to raise money, don't want to do like a GoFundMe type thing, and we'll print a shirt at no cost to them, and for every shirt that's sold, we give them $10. And really, all that's on them is that they promote it, and for us, it's fun just because I mean, we don't know these people, but it feels like, I mean, we are helping, but it feels personal. It feels like, I don't know. It feels better than just throwing money at something, you know. We're involved in, our favorite thing is like in those instances when they really take off, when people on social media will get out there and hashtag, and it's like creating these mini communities to support these causes. And yeah, that's been really good for us. And to speak to money, I was just going to say that I genuinely feel like any time that we do something that gives back to something else, it's more successful for us. Again, I started off by saying we did this not to make money, to work with friends, and now I'm telling you this is just a feeling. So I don't have facts to throw at you. I don't have charts or anything like that, but I personally believe that has contributed to our success. The focus has not necessarily been, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are times that it's like, we got to pay the electric bill, so print some shirts, you know what I mean? But I genuinely feel like the more of that stuff we do, the more we've grown, so, as a business, so.
Also, Stan is in full remission right now,
Yeah.
so pretty exciting. We got to start doing those fundraiser shirts. One of our friends who's actually, he started the business with us years ago. He stepped out 3 years ago, something like that. But he's a teacher, and he was going through an adoption. They were adopting a little boy from the Congo, and as you know, like adoptions are crazy expensive, and Oklahoma teachers are not well paid. So we kind of surprised them with the original T-shirt, the "Love is Thicker Than Water" line that we did for a while, and that it's been really a good thing because we're taking something that we already have that doesn't really cost us anything to do these things, and it does build, and we do actually get quite a bit of residual business from that, because you know, if your second cousin buys a shirt from our website, we are getting people coming back and buying just our regular T-shirts. They're also coming back and using us to print contract jobs. It's a very, I don't want to say it's like a pariah marketing, but we do get a lot of residual business out of just doing something that's good, just something that doesn't take much. So, and then we end up shipping all the shirts out, which is also a huge headache for most of these fundraisers. People are going out and they will take everybody's name down on paper, and they'll get their size, and they'll do everything the way that they know best to do it. And for us, it's on our website. You know, you just go online, you pay your money, you get your shirt shipped out in 2 weeks. It's as simple as that, you know. And so it's an easy thing for us to do. And like Kyle said, it's been a good thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I like it just because both of us have young families, kiddos in school, and so like there are lots of things. I'm definitely one of those people that people throw up a GoFundMe and I just want to give to everyone that I see, but I can't. And I mean, we had, in that instance, we had a friend that was adopting, and we saw the financial strain that was putting on them. And we realized, well, we don't have money that we can give them, but we do have a printing press, and we can make T-shirts, and we can turn T-shirts into money. And so, yeah, it's kind. I mean, just using what we have to benefit other people, and it does benefit us. But I mean, genuinely, I know that both of us get a big kick out of, at the end of it, handing those people a check and feeling like we've helped them, and also it was a process that really didn't put much stress on them at all.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's it on money. Lots. Last Last year, it was Kitty Twister. Um, Oklahoma Kitty Twister. It was a yarn tornado with kittens flying around. I thought it was awesome.
For the dog races at the dog race event at Remington Park, we did a couple of T-shirts. There was one. It was
The Infinite Wiener.
the Infinite Wiener, which was like a wiener dog with the infinity sign, and then we also did one that was it was the
French Bulldog.
yeah, it was I like big mutts and I cannot lie, and we used a not mutt for some reason because it was the coolest. It had like sunglasses, and that one just really whiffed.
I think the biggest tank was when we, like, usually our stuff references pop culture or music. The hardest whiff, though, was when it's something that, like, I think most of the time we're like, oh, I think people think this is cool. Like, we don't think it's cool necessarily. We're just trying to listen to other people. And so we did a emoji shirt. Not all emojis. It said, keep it 100. And yeah, people groaning. It was like, everybody that looked at it was like, what's this? And
Mainly my mom.
yeah, so we got rid of that one. Those turned to rags.
Yeah.
But yeah, we whiff hard all the time.
Yes, yes. I tried to get Kyle to wear it tonight, but he refused to. So Kyle had this idea to do a shirt. Well, sorry, I thought it was a bad idea. He thought it was a great idea, and I was wrong. But he wanted to do, you know, the Irma Gerd Gershberms girl. So he wanted to do a shirt that said Erkler Hermer, which is Oklahoma in Gershberms, I guess. And for 2 years, I was like, man, yes, it's funny, but that's stupid. Nobody's gonna like that. Nobody's gonna buy that. Nobody's gonna. I mean, that's stupid. And he was like, so you talked to me into getting Adobe Illustrator, and I got this font that I think would be great for Erkler Hermer. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine, do it. I don't have to.
He was on vacation.
Yeah, I was on vacation. Yeah. And so he printed it up, and of course I see it, and it was very funny. And it's I think the font is pine wood, which is like it literally looks like wood. It's very derpy, but it's perfect for the shirt. No offense.
No,
And it was the damn bestseller for 6 months in our shop. So it was yes.
And it's the most fun to, like, when people read that.
Yeah.
People my parents' age that are like, Erkler Hermer, and it's awesome because they're like, what does that mean? And we're like, say it again. Just keep saying it. And so,
you know.
but yeah, that, and then the follow-up to that we're working on now is I've dreamed of a shirt for many years that says pants, and we're printing those up. So pant shirts coming soon.
Yeah, it just says pants. Actually, I just wore this shirt to the bank the other day, and I walked in with a. We just had several big events, and so it was a very cash-heavy event. And I had a Walter White Heisenberg paper bag full of cash, and I felt just like criminal. Like I just felt like they were gonna not take my money, and I was gonna be arrested, and they were gonna like meth test it or something. And I walk in, and the lady at the teller just gave me like the weirdest stink face, and I was like, oh no. She just like looked at me the whole way, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. And I finally go up there, and I hand her the bag full of cash, and she was like, I'm sorry if I gave you a weird look. And I was like, you did. I was like, I'm sorry about the bag. And she's like, no. I was just like, your shirt does say pants, right? And at that point, I was convinced. So pants will be available at the OKC very soon. Any other questions?
Anybody else? I didn't hear.
Okay, so the question was, as a local business, there was a local business owner that wrote recently a blog post. I think it was out on a limb, right? No, it was
Collective Thread.
Yes,
Yeah,
Collective,
that's
yes.
right.
And basically, the question was, how are we doing with the kind of local economic downturn and everything else? And we have been incredibly lucky in the fact that we haven't gone out and like searched for businesses to print for, and we're not like cold calling anybody. We've been very fortunate in the fact that we're busy, and we are more busy with contract printing than our storefront is for sure. I mean that's absolutely the case. But we go out and we do these pop-up events, and you pay $100 to do the event, and we rarely don't make our money back on that. But every time we're out there selling shirts, we have 5 to 10 people that come up and say, "Oh, you guys screen print? What do you do? What kind of shirts do you like?" And we give them a business card, and most of those people eventually come to us, which is incredibly lucky. So that's a really terrible answer. We're kind of lazy about it, but we've been lucky, been very blessed. I mean,
I do think also like there's some jobs that we've picked up from friends, and also like we have to eat lunch, right, every day. So like we'll go to a place over and over like everybody does, and we do the shirts for Revolution, and one of my favorite things that we've discovered in the last year was trading with people. And so we print shirts, they give us tacos. And that's been an awesome, I think that's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, but they wanted to stop. They'd written off all they could do on that.
Yeah.
So.
But we love teaming up with other people. And actually, we were talking about the fundraiser stuff. One of the very first things we did was with these guys, with the tornado. Like that was when we first started, and we didn't have the ability to print how people responded to that. They did, and we teamed up with Tree and Leaf and printed them over there and shipped them out. And together, I think we donated like $30,000 or something, 37. It was crazy. And the ninth, I remember that like some of the first times I met you guys was sorting the packages that night, and it was nuts. So and Dusty and those guys have been like, I think most of the screen printers we've met have been super friendly, and it really seems like there's enough business to go around because everyone needs shirts. And so in particular, Tree and Leaf helped us quite a bit in the beginning in saying, hey, here's some mistakes that we made. This is what I would suggest. And I remember when we moved from the garage, John was like, "You're gonna miss the garage." I kind of miss the garage. When we pay rent, I miss the garage. So.
Well, it's funny. Along those same lines, like we try to help other businesses that are starting out or anything like that. We try to throw our business their way. If there's a new restaurant or a new business, we usually try to go in. And
musicians too.
Yeah, a lot of musicians. But when the tornadoes hit more 3-4 years ago, it was really terrible situation. And I think we sold something like 1,500 shirts in the first 2 hours. The shirt was online, and we cut it off just because the production, we weren't going to be able to pull it off. And when I say we, I mean Dusty and the Tree and Leaf guys, the ex-Tree and Leaf guys. But we were like, hey, you know what, Kyle, you live out in Cashion, Oklahoma, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, the post office out there is like about to tank. Like they're really going under. Like it's going to be like if we could take some of these shirts over there and ship through them, they'd actually get a good financial kick out of them. That'd be great. And so we did. And the single lady that worked out there, she hand stamped everything. And some of the envelopes that we saw arriving, people would send pictures of them to us, and there was like literally this many stamps on the envelope. And so sometimes it's not good to help Cashion, Oklahoma, because it took a long time for that poor lady to stamp every bag. Because we had so many, and like we would take stuff in and we give her a lump sum to do all the shirts, and it was we were new.
We saved the Cashion post office for like a year, I think.
We did, yeah. We had receipts that would be like literally hanging from the ceiling and go all the way back up down 3 or 4 times. Like it was very, very, very
Old
huge.
school.
Yeah, very old school. All right, you and back. What's your question? I'm talking to you, yes, sir. I'm putting you on the spot.
No question.
I'm just kidding. What's up?
Was there ever times where you thought as a business you weren't going to make it, and how did you get past that?
I mean, honestly, like we've definitely had road bumps on the way. Like there have been things like where we've partnered with people that hasn't worked out, and just the normal, the normal situation where it's just like, oh, holy crud, what are we going to do? And luckily, once again, we've just been very, very lucky that we both have a real strong work ethic. We don't really take much free time other than eating. We used to play darts every day, and we haven't done that in 2 years. Just because
We're about to get a skee ball machine in
Yeah.
the shop.
Yeah, so you guys should come by. It'll hopefully be
It
next
will
week.
be free to the public.
Yeah. But so the short answer is, I mean, there have been times where we've been kind of up against a wall, like we've had to reprint some shirts, or we've had build out costs that we weren't anticipating.
Or
And-
jobs that tanked. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had that where you take a big job because it promises you big money, and it doesn't come through after you purchase shirts or something like that. But I mean, luckily I don't think we've ever been like, this is it. It's time to call it quits. So.
Well, we're very frugal with everything, and we work hard. I mean, honestly, both of us had regular jobs before we quit and went out on our own, and it's always there's a panic moment. Like two weeks before Kyle quit his cushy job and came to work at the shop the whole time. Like he called me up in a panic, and I had done the same thing a year and a half beforehand. I was like, dude, that was actually probably the closest. Like, if you're not quitting your job to come do this every day with me, I'm not going to keep doing it, because like it's hard. It's hard to do this all by yourself. And
I was freaking out, man. Big time.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been other than the occasional financial low, which luckily we've been very, very lucky to avoid. And we probably don't pay ourselves enough, and that's why we have extra money in the bank account. But
And again, I know that it sounds weird, but I genuinely believe that the reason that we keep making enough money is because the goal is to work together. Like, at the moment, we're not trying to grow, and I would actually say, well, that's not true. We're trying to do new things, but we can't print any more shirts than what we're already printing, and it's been that way for like the last 2 or 3 years. We can only take what we take, and we've been trying to be creative. I mean, building out a bigger retail space over in the farmers market has been one way to make more money, do the same amount of work. But I mean, it's weird. I really believe the reason that it keeps happening is because the goal is to work with a friend. It's not to take over the world, you know?
Can you guys share a little bit about your history before OKC? I know you were at a team.
oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I worked at first of all, I went to OU. I got a degree in visual communication, and was there from 2000 to 2005. I took a victory lap. I had a really fun time freshman year, and I didn't work hard enough on my portfolio to get into the design school. But so after 2 years of design school, I applied to work at VI, which was then Visual Image, and I got an internship there, and usually they did like 9-week internships, and I just kept saying, I don't want to leave yet. If you guys need me, I'll stick around. And I got to work there for a year as an intern, which was vastly important to my design ability. And then luckily I got hired. I don't think I was the best kid or the most conceptual kid in my design class, but I was the first hired. And I think it was strictly because I wouldn't let them fire me. But so I ended up working there about, counting the internship, about 10 years. Oh, I'm putting Amy to sleep here. I'm sorry, Amy. I worked there for about 10 years, and I did the statewide anti-tobacco campaigns from a visual standpoint. I did most of the print ads and all the billboards and everything. And then I kind of wanted to go out on my own. I got a couple of guys that were doing breweries that asked me to do some beer labels, and VI had a pretty strict no freelance policy, and I felt guilty for doing it, and I wanted to do it, so I quit my job to do beer labels, and I do a lot of Christian book layout, a lot of beer labels. I'm Lutheran, so that's not a problem for me, but Baptists wouldn't do it very well. But sorry, terrible Baptist joke. I'm sorry.
How dare you, man?
But so, and then I do a lot of branding now. So a lot of logo work, a lot of basic branding stuff, and it's been really easy because while we screen print, every day, and Kyle's on the press every day, I actually take more of my salary from the design aspect, and then pay myself for shirts that we do that I'm designing and stuff. But I eventually went on my own, and it was terrifying. And I met with Clint. I met with James. I met with Winkler, who's not here. I met with Tim Watson and Mark Bostian and a bunch of bunch of other designers that were solo guys. And most of the older ones were like, dude, don't do it. Don't quit. Stay at your job. And I'm like, I don't want to. And Mark Bostian and Tim like sat with me and they were like, don't do it. And I met with James, and I didn't realize James was like almost 10 years younger than I am. And he was like, yeah, I do this, I do this, I do this. And I was like, I feel so unready for this. And James is actually speaking next week at Design Dev, so you guys should come back to hear him talk about his journey next month. What'd I say, week? Next month, whatever. I was trying to speak in Ermagerd there for a second. But so yeah, quit the agency job. Honestly, I worked with great people. I worked for great people. I worked on stuff that I really believed in, and I don't miss it. I mean, I'm lucky. I get to work with my buddy. I mean, I used to kick his butt in wrestling, and now we print shirts together for a living. So,
when I was 17, I wanted to be a musician, and I was in a ska band, and yeah, pretty cool. I played the bass and I sang, and so at that time you would burn CDs and send them out, and I got a call back. I got a call back from a label, and I did what was called courting. I courted this label for years. Like they would fly me out to Nashville, and I would play them songs, and they would be like, "Oh, that was really good," and nothing would happen, and then they'd fly me out to play more, and I think after courting maybe like 4 or 5 different labels and going back and forth from Nashville and California, I think 7 years ago, I signed with EMI, and I was going to put out a record, and digital music affected physical sales of discs so much, and everyone was freaking out, that EMI actually sold before my album released, and it got what's called shelved. So kind of a bummer, but man, I had so many awesome experiences, got to meet so many cool people, do so many cool things, and just now I think I'm realizing that what my life was like while everyone was going to college was not normal. I just had me and my bandmates, and I just had one bandmate. I'm a songwriter, and I had a drummer, and we would hire guitarists, but I think I'm just now realizing that it wasn't a normal experience, and I'm grateful for it because it was just so much fun. We drove around, and it didn't ever feel like I was working, but
tell them about Borbats.
I would take baths in truck stop sinks because I was scared of truck stop showers, because I was scared of truckers. And Blake, like Blake said earlier, we would collaborate on all of our T-shirts, and that's really what led to it. But I mean, we've always done stuff creatively, but I had nothing to do with design or anything like that. I was a musician. I thought I was going to write songs, and when I signed on the dotted line, I thought that I was going to be taken care of forever, and a year later, I was jobless. So, wah, wah.
On an upside, Kyle, I've worked with creative people my entire career and all throughout college, and Kyle is, I think, one of the most creative people I know. Love song. I forgot my guitar, you guys. But like he just is a golden goose, man. He just keeps laying golden eggs, and then it's it's just been lucky that I can kind of work with him on stuff like that, because it makes my work better, because I will have an idea and I'll work on something, and he'll be like, "What about this?" And it's like, damn it, Kyle, it's a better idea. I like it, and I'll use it and claim it as my own.
Well, what's funny about the creative process to me is it's not so different. Like I am not like a musical prodigy. I can't play the piano. I can barely get through the bass. I would just have melodies that would come to my mind, and I had friends and other musicians that I would have come into the studio and say, "Play this, do this." And it was that same process that I was saying I loved so much earlier, the creative process with Blake and I, of like taking something inside your mind and making it physical. It was the exact same with songwriting. It wasn't different at all. And like where I had my buddy Steve that I write songs with, Blake is very much that for me with design. Like he knows how to pull out of my brain. He knows what I'm seeing, what I'm visualizing, and it's awesome to have friends and relationships like that because, I mean, I cannot imagine my life. I can't imagine being creative and not having those relationships to pull that out of me, what I would feel like. I mean, it would be maddening. So anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So pop-up shops are awesome. Some are not as awesome as others. And honestly, I would say when we first started, they were probably a little bit. We made a little more money at them just because it was a new idea. It was a new thing. Like if Deluxe was happening, it was one of the few big ones that was happening. And I feel like now when we do a pop-up show, we did a couple this weekend, and you know that there are 3 or 4 happening elsewhere, but I still love them because we're hanging out with people that have small businesses just like us, and we've built relationships. We've watched the little Bubble grow up. I don't know if you guys know who that is. She's making soap. She's a little girl, and she's like if we had all started at her age, we'd be killing it right now. But the little Bubble, I mean, the friendships we've made with Tree and Leaf, that wasn't from pop-up shops necessarily, but Local Lather, OK Collective, there's just a list of people that we always see, and we're happy to see them. It's kind of like this. I don't know. It's kind of like an office experience. It's weird, but yeah, we really like doing them. And honestly, our favorite thing about it is that we get to be the face of our company for people. Like when they walk up to the shirts, we get to talk to them. We like talking with people, and I think when they come in the shop, our press area is exposed. So if you came in, you would see me printing, you would see Blake at his desk, and I don't think people make the connection. I think a lot of times people think that we're like the minions, and tell your boss that you didn't do this for me, and they're like, yeah, we'll tell him. A guy on Friday told him that you need to fire that kid. He's not good with people. Okay. He was drunk.
Very drunk.
He was very drunk, and he was standing in my special spot. We were printing live, and he was standing right at the end of the press, and I asked him several times to move. Anyway, he wanted me to get fired. So yeah, we like doing the pop-up shops just because it's like we can talk to people, and they can see our face and know us. And for us, we like to, and I would imagine all you guys here, we like to eat at places where we know the owner. One of our favorite places to eat is George's Happy Hog. Has anybody been there?
Go.
Okay, go. It's a barbecue place over in the Capitol, and the owner is by the Capitol. There's a sweet lady that just sits in the lobby, and we know that when we go in there and spend $20 on lunch, it's going to her. And it's the same with all of these local restaurants, the places in the plaza. Kind of go back to what you're asking about working with local businesses. Like, we like to spend our money at places that we know who it's directly affecting and helping. And I think in pop-ups, we get that in return. Like, people stick around long enough for us to have a conversation and for them to know that this is ours. And I think people just like that, knowing who's in charge, knowing who's benefiting from their purchase.
And as far as the logistics standpoint, is that closer to what you're looking for? For sure. Yeah. We have done, I think, most of the pop-up shops that you can do now, or most of the people that put them on. And
He has a system.
I have a system.
Like after we do the pop-up
Oh, yeah.
shop,
I was like,
he
what's my
writes
system?
who put the pop-up shop on,
Yeah.
what we made, what we spent, what we liked about it, and what we didn't like about it, and we can reference it when those people throw another show. And most of them are good. So
Absolutely. And there are times where there are just situations you can't get away from if it's too hot or if it's too cold or if people think it's going to rain, they just won't come. But we, for the pop-ups themselves, we have just a normal task list that we go through and we check off. And usually, if we're doing any sort of live printing, we'll actually bring out the old press that we had in my garage, and we'll take that with to an event. We can print T-shirts for like your fundraiser or for your whatever it is. Like we did the JB show on Friday. We were out there printing JB shirts. at the event itself. But we go through, and Kyle very much takes care of. He gets the press, he gets the platen, he gets the heater, he gets the inks, he gets the spatulas, he gets all of that stuff ready. And I tend to take over the other stuff, like I get the shirts all prepared in the tubs. I'll get the bags all ready. Make sure we have business cards. I'll make sure that I have the cash box. I'll make sure that I have the cash box key, because at some point or another we've all forgotten one of these things, and one of us has to drive back like an idiot to the store to get it. It's usually me driving like an idiot. Kyle's a very safe driver. But I mean, you just go through and you figure out what works and what doesn't. When we first started doing pop-up shops, our other business partner, a guy named Eric, he had this great idea to take pallets and actually build out like an entire backdrop for everything. And this was 4 or 5 years ago. It was before pallets were so heavily used, and it was great. It looked beautiful, but then we had to lug these just heavy pallets all around. And so we found that we'd actually find the pallets before the show, pop up at the show, build the construction,
Throw them in the alley.
throw them in the alley afterwards. Strictly legal. It was buy a dumpster. That wasn't ours. Probably not legal. Anyway, aside from all that illegality, we would go through and we had a much heavier system set up, but we didn't have dollies, and we didn't have the couch furniture. What are those things called? The couch furniture wheels that we like so much. Furniture. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes, yes.
Furniture mover.
I'm running out of words. But so like we have kind of mainstreamed it a little bit. We try to do everything where we can get everything in 2 trips and everything out in 2 trips. If it's not on wheels, we're probably not going to carry it, just because it'll wear on you. I mean, 5 years ago we were spring chickens, but now we're not. So. A list of pop-up shops? Can you shoot me an email and I'll send you a real good list.
I would happily endorse anything that Allison Barta-Bailey does, or Sarah Cowan.
So like Deluxe Winter Market is great. It's a Christmas time event. Allison Barta-Bailey does she does the industry flea events, which are, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. Allison Barta-Bailey. She's going to be watching this video, and I'm going to be so mortified next time I see her. So she does the industry flea, which is really good. When we first started off, we did a lot of the H&H, which is, I mean, honestly, we got our start from H&H because the regular monthly money coming from that was just a huge boon for us.
And I think even then, pop-ups were new because H&H was like, hey, do you guys want to come here and just like set up in the middle of the street? And there were probably 4 other businesses that did, and it was insane.
Yeah. We sold like
then they stopped.
$700 worth of sunglasses one day, which is just fantastic, you know.
Met Wayne Coyne. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. He bought a shirt that said "Party on Wayne, Party on Garth" with his picture on it, and he didn't send us a cease and desist. So, but it's because the drawing didn't look too much like it. Looks like a white Jimi Hendrix. So. So others. We also do the Indie Trunk Show has been a really good one for us, and then the Wanderlust was a great event. It's over there by the wheel.
Is that
Revolve Production does that. They put on a lot of good stuff. I think it's probably too late to apply for AMP. You couldn't do it anyway because you're a dude. But that's supposed to be a really good event as well. And honestly, there are a few Facebook groups. I think Red Dirt pop-ups maybe. I think what is it? Vendors, yes, that's the one. Yes, and that is that's something that I will just get in my Facebook feed, and those tend to be a little bit more rural sometimes, which we try to stay as relatively close as we can. But we've also gotten hooked up with the Chickasaw Nation and the Artesian Arts Festival in Sulphur. We go down and live print there, and that's a great event. I'm really not sure if.
I would say, actually, just for a bit of advice for anyone that wants to do a pop-up, I would say this. Almost any time that we thought something was going to be amazing because there were tons of people there, it did not equal sales. And the reason was because when people are just like herded into an area and walking around, they get blinders on. They know where they're going. And I'm the same way. Like when I'm in a crowd, I don't want to be there. Yeah, I don't want to hang out and check it all out. I want to get to where I'm going, and I want to get gone.
And don't make too much eye contact with the customers, because that'll freak people out. No, I mean, like, just sit there and like if somebody like looks at your stuff, be like, hey, what's going on? You know?
I feel like the Journeys guy.
Yeah, but like if they walk by and you're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like they will just run. I mean, they
But yeah, like the
Sorry.
pop-up shops that are more like a destination for people to go shop have been better for us historically.
Yeah,
Holiday
absolutely,
pop-up shops
absolutely.
have been great. And holiday pop-up shops are the best because everyone is, yeah, everyone's buying gifts for everyone. So those are always the best. But even throughout the year, like the ones that are a shopping destination do better for us than like uh, we did a pop-up at the Sonic Summer Movies, which was so much fun because they're doing a giant drive-in movie projected in front of us. There's all these kids and family, probably, I mean, thousands of people, and we wouldn't sell anything because they're there to watch a movie and eat funnel cake. You know what I mean? They weren't there to get a T-shirt, and they weren't looking to buy
Funnel
the T-shirt.
cakes.
Yep, funnel cakes. But yeah, so that's my advice.
Does that help? And if you want a bigger list, shoot me an email. I'll give you a card, and I'll send you any others that we've done. So
The black book.
I won't give you my black book. So yeah. What's up?
So do you find it like now when you do pop-up shops, it might not apply since you're like more established, but I just feel like I've been going to them for like 10 years and there's so many screen printers now. Like has that affected your business?
Absolutely.
There's good, bad.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it's like if you're the only T-shirt shop at an event, yeah, you're going to sell more T-shirts. And if you're sat up right next to another T-shirt company, and invariably what happens is it'll be somebody young and new, and they'll come out and be like, "I'm going to sell $8 T-shirts and screw these guys."
Yep.
We're like, "Ah, fine, whatever."
I mean, when we started, we had our friends to ask, "What are you selling T-shirts at?" And like we intentionally priced our stuff the same. Like it didn't. We weren't worried about being cheaper than everybody else because we thought this. I mean, we thought the stuff we had was cool, and we would let the people decide what they wanted. But yeah, when we set up next to, you can always tell when someone's like new because they'll come and they're like $5 T-shirts, and you're like, you're losing money. You know, you're setting up so you can lose money just to sell more shirts than us. So,
But I mean, it's if there's 5 or 10 T-shirt
you know what I mean?
shops at the same, if there's like 5 or 10 at the same thing of the same thing that you're selling, then yeah, you're definitely not going to make as much. So usually the smaller events actually net us more sales and more money than the bigger ones. But the bigger ones, you get more crowd, and for us in particular, we tend to get that residual business. We get the shirts that somebody needs for their their bank or their school or whatever else. So, and that's that's good money.
And I was going to say, for another thing that I just personally believe is that Blake is himself, and I am me, and that there's nobody else like that. And the same for all of you guys. You're individuals, and nobody is going to be exactly the same as you. So the best thing that we can do for ourselves is, as cheesy and punny as this makes me laugh. Like this is what we want to make, and it's weird. It's a John Wayne Genuine shirt. If we were just trying to make what was cool, I don't think that we would do as well because there's a lot of people trying to make something cool. We should be true to ourselves in the creative process
And be dorks.
and be the dorks that we are, because in that we can create something that's more unique because we're being true to ourselves, and that in itself, nobody's going to be like us. No one's going to be like this team. And I keep saying Tree and Leaf, but like Dusty over there, he's made shirts forever, and his design is nothing like ours because he's being true to what he does, and that doesn't offend us. It doesn't hurt our business. Like we can both thrive. I think we could thrive next door to one another because what we do isn't the same, because we're pursuing what we like creatively and being true to that, as opposed to just trying to make shirts that sell. And it's not that I don't want to sell T-shirts, because I do. I just want to sell shirts that I think are cool. So.
Now, when you do pop-up shops, do you just sell shirts, or are there other stuff to buy too?
We sell
Poop emoji slap bracelets.
poop emoji slap bracelets. That's true. Pogs, fidget spinners. I mean, that is one thing, being a T-shirt shop, that we do bring extra stuff. There are local artists that we carry their prints, such as a Clint walking stick. And we've got a friend and a guy that works for us named Greg White. I don't know if you guys have seen his stuff. He does like he's been doing the district illustrations. They're really cool. And so we try to bring a few extra things in that way. Like if someone walks up and they don't want a T-shirt, they're not instantly turned off and walking away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of retail background. I did work at American Eagle for 3. Why are you cheering for that, Clint? So one of the things that I did learn from American Eagle when I was 18 years old and stupid as I could be, if you sell a shirt, always sell a belt with that shirt. That upsell, that additional small element. And so in the last in the last 6 months especially, we've really beefed up our small products, everything that's $5 and less in the store. We have a lot of stickers, we have a lot of patches, we have a lot of enamel pins, we have fidget spinners, we have sunglasses. Those cost more than $5. But we also have slat bracelets. We have finger monsters, finger puppets. They glow in the dark. They're pretty cool. And those little things. I mean, yes. If I were to go into a space, into a new retail spot, I would go in with the intention of buying something to support that company. What I would do is go in, if they had like a $30 T-shirt that I was like only kind of okay with, but I could buy like a $5 sticker or a $5 or $10 poster or something like that. That always helps, even at the pop-up shops. It's a good thing to have a good price range, because we sell $20 to $25 T-shirts, and some people come along and they're not interested in T-shirts, and if all they see is T-shirts, they'll just keep walking. Like we had a really great experience at Deluxe our first year. This little old lady came up with her husband, and at that point we were doing, if you bought a T-shirt, you got a free print on chipboard. So it was like a pretty inexpensive way for us to take our T-shirt designs and put them on paper and sell them or give them away for, it's like an added incentive. And this lady who was losing her hearing said to her husband, she says, "So if I buy a stupid shirt, I get a stupid poster too?" That was a real blow to the ego. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was, yeah. We don't do that. We don't do the stupid posters anymore. But I mean, little things absolutely help out. I mean, and at the end of the day, like you're not looking at, or really, I'm looking at what's the bottom line. How much do we sell? How much do we profit from this event? Is this event worth it to do it next time, or should we pass the next go around? So good. Did we talk and bore you guys enough yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Do some T-shirt handouts. You want a quiz? You quiz them. Quiz somebody. What's the question? Ask for a quiz.
Okay. Where did Blake work at for